welcome. My name is Neil Thrussell, and I am so excited to have my good friend Bernie Cook with me. Um, Normally, I get really crazy and excited to draw attention to people to come on into the show, but I tried a new video today. So Bernie was trying to be a great social media and tech savvy guest, and was busily working on Facebook so that he could share it with his friends. So welcome, Bernie.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks for having me.
So I just as the video was playing, I was trying to think, was it 2006 or two, somewhere in there that we first met?
It would have been 2006. That is correct.
Cool. And we met at a mystery school, and we learned a whole bunch of cool whizzy things. And we met, and this is where I met Bernie. So was that your first, like, we were this mystery school? What started you on your path to discovering some form of spirituality?
Well, I mean, it's always, the journey is always evolving, right? We're always being prepared every day and every experience. But I would say it started when I was about 25. I had that big life shift hit me where I was. It was kind of like 25, got quarter of your life gone, and got nothing to show for it. And there was just a huge energy shift, and I just changed gears. Yeah.
So what was your, for anyone that just, for you, no, let's back this up. For you, what was your first step into spirituality? For some people, it could be attending a church, going to, but what was your first at this 25th?
I mean, I was raised Christian. I mean, spirituality in that regards, in dogmatic spirituality. But actually, a book that really got me going actually was The Celestine Prophecy by Robert Redford. It was my first book that got me. I read that when I was 25, and it was just like, yeah, it just opened doors for me, and I was kind of hooked, and then I just kind of went down the rabbit hole from there.
And for most viewers that are of a younger vintage than Bernie and I, the Celestine Prophecy was so groundbreaking when it was released. It was, I'm going to use a crazy term, very almost heretical, that it was just so way out there, and yet it is almost commonplace now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I love the book as well. What's another book? I'm just all over the place. What's another book that really had a big influence on you?
Oh goodness. There were books like Miguel Ruiz. Really enjoyed the Four Agreements, and when we got into the mystery school together, we got into some heavier material, and so that's when we got into the Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, and just like more books on applied philosophy, right? Because I mean, it's the books are kind of, how would you word that? That would be like it's conjecture if you don't apply the stuff that you learn, right? So
yeah, I had forgotten. Yeah, that series was really powerful, and I can never remember the name. And I just know that they're extremely difficult to get a hold of.
Yeah, they are. But they can't. I mean, you can order them and stuff, but or someone can raid my library.
Yeah. And we're not promoting that. No, no, no. Bernie's friendly, and if you would ask, and he learns to, he's heart open friend of mine. So yeah, so you could ask him, and he may or may not say yes, but he's got a great library. So did you ever read Castaneda? Carlos, did you ever read?
I haven't read Carlos Castaneda's stuff. Interestingly enough, that the attraction just wasn't there. You see the quotes and stuff online or whatnot, and they're obviously amazing. I just never went down that particular direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the books that really made an impact on me was um, Paulo Coelho's the Pilgrimage.
Really? I haven't read that one. I read The Alchemist. I love The Alchemist.
Yeah,
It was really, really powerful. There was some really good juicy gems in there. What was the one? What was that one about, Neil?
it's a spiritual quest, a journey of it's a it's a fictionized version of Paulo Coelho's um, journey in spirituality, where a master gave him a quest to try to teach him to get out of his ego.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Well, I might have to borrow that from you then.
yeah. It's very, very powerful. So we both left the mystery school at approximately the same time,
Yeah,
because I think it served the purpose what we needed. And
yeah.
where did you journey on to that after that?
Well, we took my wife and I took a hiatus a bit from um, a lot of the stuff that was going on, but we remained friends with many of the fellow students of that mystery school, and I mean that's probably been the biggest gem out of all of it is the friendships that we've garnered. You and Tina as well, right? So it's
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's true, because there's, I don't know, 8, 10 of us that as soon as we're see each other, it's like this sense of comfortableness, this homecoming. For me,
yeah,
it is, anyways. It's
that is
just
correct.
always so. There's no airs to it. It's just because we've journeyed through some incredible processes that it's like family.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's a unique family all on its own. It's
Absolutely,
just
absolutely.
yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, and so I know after the mystery school, I got deep into North American spirituality. I
Mhm.
went into sweat lodges. I traveled to Peru to take in ayahuasca ceremonies with a shaman in Peru. I did a vision quest. So I really embraced some some physical challenges, because my personal is I have very strong warrior energy, so I like the idea of a quest. I love that.
Well, that's why you like Paul Coelho then.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, it's like I like that piece. So after you took a hiatus, it was where did you go on your journey?
We continued on like while we were in the school together. We just the group of us got introduced to Dr. Darren Weissman and the Lifeline technique. Sue and I pursued that after the mystery school, and became both of us became certified, and are still certified Lifeline practitioners. And it's been a really amazing journey. The philosophy of um, the the this spiritual alchemy, if you will,
Yes.
that goes on inside and helps to transmute those pains, fears, and stresses, and so we've always held on to that. That's always been something that's helped us transmute limiting belief systems, and it's helped us with our business. And so, yeah, I mean, our business was a big thing that we were really growing at the time when, because we had started the business back in 2001, and we've been applying all the stuff that we've learned throughout the years in our business to help it grow. And it's been, it's been pretty fruitful. So, what else have you done anything else? Any other training and stuff like that?
Oh, I've probably been in training classes every 3, 4 months. I got involved in a bunch of men's groups, and I've taken facilitation training through them. It's just been through, and currently I'm part of Mankind Project, which isn't really a spiritual network, but it really brings in, or it endeavors to bring in the spirituality from the First Nations, our Aboriginal brothers, the training aspects to it. Um, So yeah, and apparently, I think I saw on Facebook a couple days ago, or maybe even it was today, that this is a 19th birthday for your only child that you and Sue birthed together.
Yeah, last week our company held its 19th birthday, so that's been pretty cool. It's been a wild journey, is what that's been.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the lifeline technique, I can really see it in Bernie and his beautiful wife Sue, because right now their company is on hold completely, zero, until in the province of Alberta, they own a wonderful karaoke company, but they're not allowed to go out and be part of society as a company. They're not allowed to do their natural gifts. And so many people could be depressed to it. And I think that your lifeline technique has helped you at various times maintain some sanity.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the tools, the philosophy, when you apply it, it teaches you how to surrender to what's going on, to accept and go with the flow. And so, in the process, I trust the process. My wife and I trust the process, and we know that unfortunately, um, we can't do anything until stage 3 is lifted for restrictions in Alberta, and that's perfectly fine. We've already taken steps to prepare for that journey, and for reopening and getting back to work. Our team is all ready and excited to get started again, and so it's a holding pattern right now. Right now we're in a I guess an incubation period, if you will, and it's almost like the caterpillar kind of analogy, you know. And when this all opens up again, we're going to be going full throttle and continuing doing what we love. So it's uh,
So,
it's cool.
what's it like to have Friday nights off and Saturday nights off?
Well, we decided to do Friday nights to give back. Actually, I my company does a live stream show every Friday night from my living room to everyone else's, and we stream a live DJ show for families from 7 till about usually 11 o'clock at night, and we do that every Friday during this whole COVID thing. So.
Okay, for our listeners, this is okay to give. So, what is the name? So, on Facebook. So, what? How can they find your company?
Oh, Kiss Productions. Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss.
Yeah.
Kiss. Kiss Productions.
So, if you want a dance party on Friday nights, go to Kiss Productions on Facebook. There we go.
Yep. And we post the link every Friday at about 6:45 p.m. And then we get started right around 7, 5 after 7, depending. And myself and one of our company's DJs, Ryan, who's a good buddy of mine, we get in there and we DJ for everybody for 3 or 4 hours. So it's a lot of fun.
Excellent. So, this might give you a few minutes to think about it or that. But what's some of the lessons that you've learned? So the government tells you that you're shut down, end of, that's it. What is some of your takeaways and lessons, if there's any lessons, spiritual lessons that have been ingrained, deepened, or have arisen for you?
Um, actually, the I think one of the biggest struggles that we've had is when we're running full throttle, our business is going, we're running 7 days a week. We're the largest company in Alberta doing what we do. Um, and it's, we had purpose. We had purpose. And so this COVID thing, when you've got to be careful, because if you disconnect from purpose, or you don't give something purpose, it can quickly fall into depression and some pretty negative spiraling downwards. And so that's why we chose the Friday nights. Let's find a purpose. Let's give back, and let's have some fun, and let's just engage people, and give them a break. And so it becomes a two-way street in regards to the feedback loop, where we help energize ourselves and other people are being energized as well. There's something different to think about. We're connecting with friends on social media, and so it's important to stay positive throughout it all. It really is. And so I feel that finding a purpose, or devoting our time to something constructive, has been really beneficial for us.
Yeah. So it's interesting that most people, you took it very well, that we get lost without purpose.
Hmm.
And that's, my wife and I own a company called Best You Can Be that's all about finding purpose and passion. And yet, and I'm finding it challenging because people are so tired of Zoom calls and all of that, that they lose purpose, but they're not wanting to reach out. So it's almost like, well, this, that they're depressed because they don't have purpose and they need purpose. And it's amazing that you found and or have enough wisdom to know that you as a person and you as a company and you as a family, you and your wife as a family needed to discover or redefine your purpose.
Hmm. Redefining is a great word.
Mm.
It really is. Yeah, that's a good point.
So let's just move sideways here a bit. So have you always been purpose driven, or was it just things just fall into your lap and you've just moved with it?
A lot of it, I mean, obviously there's a lot of, making a choice and deciding what direction we want to go. And I mean that's the foundation of a lot of change in our lives, really. Um, but I think for us, there's a lot of going with the flow, because when we see an opportunity arise and we connect with our intuition as to whether or not that's really the way that would be for our highest good, right? So
Yeah.
and that's happened a few times. And so um, even this pandemic and the quarantining and stuff, it's given time for Sue and I to be working on our relationship. There's there was some big disconnects, and uh, and so in recognizing it, of course, when there's nothing else being distracting us, guess what? All of a sudden, those imbalances start rearing its ugly head, and then we need to face them. So those have come up, and we've had some amazing breakthroughs during this process, and I'm really, really grateful for that.
That's an interesting observation, because it's almost like you're going through, or and many others are in the same boat, of empty nest syndrome. You're so busy, 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 and then the kids leave. In your case, they haven't left, but the energy is always out there, and
Yeah,
now all of a sudden you're left with a whole whack of additional time,
yeah.
and you're forced to look at this person and go and ask some brutally honest questions. I know Tina and I have had to ask this question: are you the person that I'm still madly in love with? And come up with a yes, no.
Clearly, it's still yes.
Yes, Tina, it's still yes.
That was a paid advertisement, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for leading in that there. Us married guys, it's got to stick together. Um, so you've had lots of learnings.
Yep.
Where do you think you want to go with in spirituality? What's something you want to learn about?
Well, it's a process. For me, it doesn't make sense learning stuff unless I can apply it and give it purpose, right? Because when we apply it, we give it purpose.
Yes.
And so a lot of the stuff is um, the stuff right now that I'm learning is about transmuting um, patterns, patterns that stem from um, back when I was a child. Some of it past life stuff, and so in that process, I've been looking at how do I manifest that. And manifesting is a huge part of our lives. Sue and I use conscious manifesting techniques, and we apply them, and our business is kind of proof in the pudding on that. So yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, it's and I get very gentle warrior energy. Put a plan and then surrender to and allow it to come in. But know what you want, work on it, but then just let it go. And knowing, but more than letting go, fully surrender to knowing that it's going to occur.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That state of knowing is one of the most vital aspects of allowing the things that you want to manifest into your lives to come into your life. When you trust that process and you surrender to it, you're not putting up resistance. And when you're not putting up resistance, then all of a sudden you make room for that manifestation to come that much sooner.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I understand manifestation and affirmations. The one thing that I had an issue with the movie The Secret 10 years ago was that they say all you had to do was think about it and it would occur. But I believe you have to think about it and move forward in it. And as you move forward, trust fully that it's going to come with you. But I believe you have to meet somewhere in between and move forward towards your goals.
Yeah, 100%. The secret actually started a path for us um, that led to me meeting Maureen Saint Germain, and I learned some cool stuff from her. She's based out of New York, and she's a wonderful lady. Love her to bits. And then it led me down some other rabbit holes
Yeah.
to where I currently am right now, as a member of the Rosicrucian Order, and learning much deeper components of how energy manifests. And so the one of the components that I connected with is that, so thought forms are the key to manifesting.
Yes.
They unlock the door. And so thought forms are comprised of three things. You have a thought, which is kind of like a car. And so it just sits stagnant on the side of the road, doing nothing, right?
Yes.
Doesn't have purpose. The fuel for that car is the emotions. Okay. So our thoughts, our thought form, emotions are the fuel for that car. And so it gives it the gas to where it needs to go. The more emotion you give it, and the more intently you're able to hold on to that vibrational frequency of the emotions, then the further you can go with that thought form. The third component of a thought form is the intention. It's your why. Why do you want to manifest this or that? So when we, for instance, with our company, we wanted to our intention is always a thriving company that's for the highest good of all concerned. Right? It removes completely the ego out. Everybody benefits. Our client, yes. our subcontractors that work with us, our team, and ourselves as well, right? So and when we're providing entertainment, then the people that we provide entertainment for are also benefiting, etc. So we have a pure intention, and that pure intention needs to benefit everybody, not just a few. And so those three components, your why, generates inside this emotional experience. So when you're visualizing in your own mind this thought form that you're seeing and visualizing in your mind as you're seeing it come to be, and then what happens is that you let it go, right? So that's the whole key, is that we let it go into the cosmic, into the subconscious mind. Okay, so there's certain things that happen with a thought form, and a lot of people don't understand. The secret is great on its own, and it opens a door for many people. It's a gateway.
Yes. Yep. I agree.
Right.
But it
Then,
wasn't complete.
It's not complete. No. Then you get into the law of attraction, like the Esther Hicks and right, the
Yep.
material from the law of attraction. Well, the law of attraction is another component or piece of the puzzle of manifesting. It's not the whole thing.
Yes.
So now, when you hold your thought form, you visualize what it is that you want. So, for instance, I'll give an example here. I wanted to manifest a specific type of boat, right? So I wanted a bass boat style boat that was super fast and I could go have fun on the water and still go fishing and go tubing and all that kind of stuff. And I held this thought form. I grabbed a picture from Bass Pro Shop and of this style of boat that I wanted with a big engine and all these little key components of things that I wanted.
Yep.
And I put it up on my vision board. And then when I visualized, every time I looked at it, every single time I looked at that picture, it generated that emotion because I knew that that's what I wanted. And I
Yep.
knew why I wanted it, because I wanted to go fishing. I wanted to go have fun. I wanted to take people out and have a good time tubing and fishing and whatever, right? And so I held these thoughts in my own mind, this visual. And within, it was probably about 8 months-ish, it took me to manifest the boat that I wanted. And when I went to see it, I knew exactly which one it was. When I was there, I knew in my heart that this had all the components, and that's what I wanted to manifest. So what happens is that these thought forms, when you hold on to them and you visualize them, they actually change your personal magnetism.
Yes.
So when we are in front of people, right, personal magnetism, we have our personal magnetism is made up of our electrical body, and it's made up of our thoughts, right? Electro and magnetic, right? So there's the magnetic component of this oscillating field around us. And so when we use thought forms, we're actually changing our personal magnetism when we don't even realize it. And so when we change our personal magnetism, we begin to place ourselves more in harmony with attracting, like a magnet, that which it is that we seek to manifest in our lives, right? And so this process has been a beauty of a journey because I now have years of experience with thought forms, with understanding the dynamics, how they affect the conscious and subconscious mind, and how they affect the body, how they have their source in unity, in cosmic unity, in the universal field, that because everything is energy, right? So you got $100 in your pocket, right? You hold out that $100 bill. What is that $100 bill? Right? It's a piece of
It's
paper.
$100.
It's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Right? What is the energy that we give to it? We give it a value of $100.
Yeah.
Right? But in the end, that piece of paper and the value that we place all has their source as energy. And when we understand that everything that we want to manifest in abundance, it becomes it's readily available, literally.
Yes.
So it's when we change the way we look at the situations in our lives and the dynamics of how we perceive the world around us, then all of a sudden our reality changes. And so we can go from, and trust me, I had to remove the limiting belief systems that I got from my parents.
Yes.
You have to work hard to make a living. Money doesn't grow on trees.
It doesn't?
I am a bank, right? All these limiting belief systems that we're taught as when we're young. Our parents learned it from their parents and their parents before that. And so it took me into my 30s to understand and reprogram the subconscious expression. And I mean, I had tools. The lifeline technique was huge when I discovered what the source of these limiting belief systems, was able to transmute them. But I mean, there's many other ways. I mean, people can do past life regression and stuff and find patterns. There's many techniques out there. Neuro linguistic programming.
yeah,
EFT,
yeah.
so um, NETs as well also do that. But um,
What-
or we could do things like ayahuasca, right?
yeah.
And go ahead.
The cool part is in all of this is you had this recognition somehow, whatever you recognized that I had this belief and it
Yep,
was holding me back.
yep,
So you could do, my mom and dad were sad, whatever. You could blame the world, or in this particular case, you chose to go, let me work on this, because fix isn't the right word. Because it's so let me work on this and make myself a better version of myself.
yep,
And for me, that's the spiritual warrior's wisdom, is recognizing that I recognize that I am not perfect. And when I discover that there's something that is not supporting my highest good, and I can make a choice to move and work on it, it's when I choose to work on it, is then I'm truly working in my highest good, as
yep.
opposed to the caterwauling and the whining, which many, many people actually choose to do.
Victimization is a rampant disease on this planet. It truly
Absolutely.
is. You
When you
know,
were talking, I had to go onto Facebook because I'm going, Maureen Saint Germain. I know her. And then so I go onto Facebook and I go, yeah, I know her. I spent a day and a half with her. But I met her. One of my friends, Harrison Klein, was meeting her. I had no clue who this woman was. Zip. And so we were meeting in a coffee shop because Harrison needed some technical expertise. I was not at this conference as a technical expert. I was there as a participant. And all
yep,
of a sudden, Harrison calls me over, and I'm sitting in on their meetings because he just needed to understand some technical things. And she needed to be able to understand some of his technical things. And they just needed a go between. But she's a wonderful woman.
yes, she is. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's interesting because the people that we meet along the way, um, it's almost like they come in at the right time, and it couldn't be planned any better. And so there's lessons, there's things that we learn from each other. And so I mean, you guys have taught us a bunch of stuff. We've done a workshop with you guys that you guys facilitated during when we were at the mystery school, and it was one of those retreats that you helped organize some events and stuff.
Yep.
And there's been along the way. I mean, we met. Uh, who else did we meet? We met past life journey facilitators from Ontario, from Ompa, Ontario, and
Greenwood?
Alan Green.
Yeah, that's it.
Alan Green and his wonderful wife,
Yeah.
Catherine. And it was so cool. Like, and we've been in contact with them all this time, and we've done some work with them and did some training with them as well, some workshop stuff. It's been really cool. Like it just when it's almost like when they say the student is ready, the teacher appears. It's the
Yeah.
same kind of thing. Like these people walk in our lives and they're there. It's like
And and part of it is we have to be open to the awareness,
yes,
because
absolutely.
it's like the new car syndrome, where till we go out and buy the brand new car, we never see that new vehicle, that make and model and color of
Yep,
that vehicle on the road. But as
yep,
soon as we buy it, we see it everywhere.
yep.
And it's I think it's we just don't see it till we're spiritually ready to be aware.
Hmm. Yep,
And
I agree.
because I had this when you're talking about past life regression, I had this preconceived notion on past life regression on how complicated the process had to be.
Hmm.
You had to fast for 30 days and do this and spin around in circles, whatever. I just had this complicated. And then when we met Alan Green, and he brings this elegant but simple way of doing it, and it was like, really? And it works.
Yeah.
Simple works.
And it's not even a regression. His style, his approach isn't
Yeah.
a regression. It's very different. So you are consciously awake when he
Mhm.
uh, does the journey facilitating.
Yeah.
He acts as a guide to get you started and get you in. But literally, what happens is that you're kind of surrendering and allowing the subconscious mind, which is connected to all things,
Yes.
to come through. And so, it's a process where it's almost like uh, it's almost like how would you word that, like remote viewing in a sense.
Yes.
In a sense, almost, right? So like the mind, like you're awake, you're aware, and then all of a sudden you start receiving these impressions, and sometimes you get full on video, and literally your consciousness kind of leaves and goes directly there, and you become in the environment. And sometimes, and I mean, that happened to me when Alan Green actually came to the school for the first time and did a workshop there, just did a talk or whatever, and he was the guest speaker that night and talking about his journey. And I mean, that experience, I saw, I smelled, and I heard, like I was there. Literally, it was like a pinpoint focus where I wasn't in here, present moment. My present consciousness literally went into this past life, and when it was done, I was bawling on the floor for 30 minutes processing um, the experience. So, I mean, it was pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. And you used the word the journey a whole bunch of times, and that reminded me. I'd forgotten that we had done some of Brandon Bray's work as well, called The Journey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
No, we did it at the school.
Oh. Okay, yeah. That was at the retreat, was it not?
Yeah. With a great big long script. You just followed the script and you journeyed inside your body.
Oh, I'm trying to remember that one. I'm really not having a.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. It was,
going to
yeah.
take
It
your
was,
word for it, and we'll talk more on that. I've
yeah.
just made a mental note because I want to. It's obviously there's something there that I need to refresh on. So
Yeah.
no, that's very cool. Very cool.
I had forgotten. Yeah. It's like, cool. Well, I think, and unfortunately, we're at the time to say goodbye. Is there anything you would like to leave our? So this will be on YouTube, Facebook Live, and iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, iTunes Podcast, and Spotify.
Wow, that's quite the list.
Yeah. So is there anything that you would like to leave anyone that's on any kind of journey?
Um, you know what? I would say one of the biggest tools that I've learned in the journey is intuition. Learning how to trust it, work on it, and develop it. It's kind of like a muscle, and it lays dormant in a lot of people. And sometimes we have these hits like, oh, I need to go down this lane, I need to go down this road to get a parking spot. Sometimes that happens, but it becomes a regular occurrence when you develop your intuition, and it also allows you to place yourself in the right place at the right time. Um, Intuition leads to that. So, if you can, what happens is one of the ways that I developed it was through inspiration. I became inspired by my intuition, and it was developing in me in the early stages. Um, and in that inspiration, it created motivation. It created it all of a sudden started to direct my will, where I was engaging my my intuition more often for all reasons, and not just some, but all. And it allows you to be in the right place at the right time, to meet the right people you need to, and so it also allows you to connect to situations where you might not have seen the pattern before, but all of a sudden your intuition kicks in, and you're like, "There's this happens. This is happening for a reason, right here, right now." And so, in that process, I would say working on intuition is huge, and it'll go from there. So, but if you can get that will going, directing that will, you'll be a long ways ahead of many other people.
Cool, and thank you. Yeah, it's some great idea. And like anything, as Bernie said, it is a muscle. And
Yep.
you can only build a muscle by trying and exercise. And your muscles are going to get sore. You're not going to get it all the time, but don't give up. Keep working at it.
Yep.
And with that, I'd like to say adios. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you, my friend.
Bernie, for being a wonderful guest.
Thank you for having me, Neil. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, you have a great night, okay, my friend?
Yep, you too.
Cheers.